Hey friends, Aaron Keys here from WeAreWorship. I want to give you the top 7 pieces of advice that are practical and implementable immediately today for worship leaders. We're going to cover a few different topics, and every one of these is something that you can do today. So we're going to start 2 tips for vocals. Number 1, hydrate on Thursday. One of the biggest things that changed the game for me as far as not losing my voice after a long day of singing or a long multi-day event of singing is learning that it takes water 3 days to benefit your vocal cords from the time that you drink it. So I used to show up to events and start pounding water, and then I'd lose my voice 3 days in. I was way too late. You've got to start hydrating 3 days before you sing. So Thursday and Friday, go ahead and get that water and drink up. Number 2, also a vocal technique, warm up. This is kind of like a no-brainer, right? But still, a lot of people, it's amazing. They just like get right on out there and start ripping it. It's crazy. I can't imagine going to the gym to work out or going for a jog and just putting my shoes on, going out the door and sprinting. Stretch it, stretch a little bit. Take your time, loosen up your vocal cords. Look, this is the only pair that God's gonna give you, so take care of them. Number 3, this is musical. Get a free app on the App Store called the Amazing Slow Downer. This thing is awesome. You can put any song into it, and then you can play that song at whatever speed you're ready to try to learn the parts for. So if you're learning a song and it's got some fast guitar line or piano part or something like that, you can actually slow it down from 100% to, you can go real slow, like 30 or 40%, and it doesn't mess with the pitch. So you can sit there and practice guitar parts or piano lines or whatever else at a fraction of the pace and work your way up. It's really cool. You can even like save and loop sections. This has been a game changer for me to learn more complicated guitar parts, especially kind of bluegrassy stuff. Amazing slow downer, that's a pretty good one. Number 4, this is a technical tip on how to get better in-ear mixes. Now, as soon as we were given the power to mix our own ears, a lot of musicians were like, this is great, I can finally control my own mix. But unless those musicians have been trained in audio, they probably don't know how to get the best sound out of their mix as a mix engineer would, right? That makes sense. So I want to give you the best tip that I ever got. Here it is. After you've gotten your mix kind of where you think it should be, turn your body pack almost all the way down till you can barely hear anything coming out of your ears. And now listen, with it very quiet, what still stands out? Is the click too loud? Snare drum? Acoustic guitar? A singer? Because this, once you bring it down, your ears can really pay attention to what's still peaking above the threshold that you've put the volume down to. This is the last thing that I do every time I mix in-ears, and it's one of the most helpful. I'm often surprised at the things that I couldn't have noticed. That's like way hot in the mix. I didn't notice it until I pulled the mix way down quiet. That's number 4. Number 5, this is pastoral. If you're picking 3 songs for church this week, pick 3 scriptures that go with each of those songs. So if you're doing, It Is Well With My Soul, think about are there 3 scriptural texts that you could be meditating on this week to just get into your soul so that as you lead it this coming Sunday, you've got some scriptural, you've primed the engine, as it were. Now, even if you don't mention any of those scriptures that you were meditating on, the fact that you've been soaking in them, as you think about it as well, maybe you think about Psalm 34, I'll bless the Lord at all times, his praise will always be on my lips. It's kind of the point of It As Well, right? Or maybe you think about Hebrews 13, through Jesus let's continually give to God sacrifice of praise, the fruit of lips giving thanks to his name. So it's like good times, bad times, maybe you think of Romans 8, all things work together, blah, 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 blah. Whatever the scriptures are, the homework or the tip is dig in to scriptures that correlate to these songs. If you can't find scriptures that correlate to those songs, you might need to rethink your songs. But chances are you'll have lots of good options. And as you internalize that text from Psalms or from Hebrews or whatever else, again, even if you don't say anything when you lead it, the fact that that's in you, that song is going to come out of you with a different measure of authority. It just will. So that's tip number 5. Number 6, this is cultural. Go small. Go small. A lot of us want to change the worship cultures at our churches. We want to see the worship of our nation change. We want to see the world change, but that's not how things change. Things change when little groups of people start changing. Culture, at worship school, we teach about culture. And culture, we say, is whatever's normal for any group of people. So culture might be different from one group of people to the next. Totally different cultures, even though the houses are next door, right? What's normal there is not normal here. So oftentimes we want to shift the culture at our church, but we start with the big picture macro culture. Look, there's all kinds of layers to that. There's all kind of momentum to that. There's all kinds of investment in the culture being what it is. You're probably not going to get the most traction by trying to hit that right out of the gate. But cultures change when subcultures change. So maybe you don't have all the authority to shift the entire trajectory of worship at your church, but could you have some people over? Could you have people over for dinner and then spend a little time reading the Psalms, praying some prayers together, maybe sing a song, put on a video, whatever? Like, you can do stuff in the small contexts that you could never do in the big context. And I'm telling you, it's as those small subcultures all start moving in a direction that the entire macro culture will start going with it. But we'll never get there if we only go big. And then lastly, number 7, ready? Live well. If you don't want your life, no one else is gonna want your life. I was talking to a guy out here who's an elder in Colorado at his church, and they were thinking about hiring a worship leader. And I asked, hey, how's it going? How's the process looking? And he said, you know what? I would be thrilled if this candidate were investing in my kids' lives. It's like, interesting. He didn't talk about the ability to play guitar, keys, lead a team, sing. He talked about character. He talked about who this leader is off stage. My last challenge is, y'all, some of the best thing you could do is go get a life. Get a life that you want. Then maybe other people eventually will want it. Discipleship requires that somebody somewhere want your life. If you don't want it, I promise nobody else will. But if you will follow the way of Jesus, an abundant life, not just concerned about an eternal one, an abundant life, overflowing with fruit that grows over time. God does not impart fruit. Fruit and gifts are not the same thing. God gives gifts. God grows fruit. This stuff takes time. So what's one thing you could do today to enrich your own life? To be inspired, to be generous, to serve someone, to rejoice, to take time with the Lord in praise and in worship, whatever that might be. All right? It's a quick start. We cover this stuff a lot more in depth at worship school at 10,000 Fathers and then also at WeAreWorship. But hopefully 1 or 2 or maybe all 7 of these tips will be helpful for you in your leadership. If so, I'd love to hear how, and I hope I get to see you sometimes.